In this video, I want to talk you through how to organize and market a webinar. Now, what is a webinar? A webinar, also known as a web conference or a web seminar, is a presentation, lecture, or workshop transmitted over the internet. And typical webinar features include things like slideshow presentations, and this is where images are presented to the audience. Markup tools and a remote mouse pointer are used to engage the audience while the presenter discusses the slide's content. And in some ways, it's a bit like a PowerPoint presentation done over the web. Webinars also contain live or streaming video, and this can be full motion webcam, where someone is actually speaking to camera, delivering the lecture. It can be a digital video camera or multimedia files that are simply pushed to the audience, sent via file transfer protocol. And you can also use Voice over Internet Protocol, or VoIP, and this is real-time audio communication through the computer via use of headphone and speakers. Web tours are often included as part of a webinar as well, and these are URLs, data from forms, cookies, scripts, and session data that can be pushed to other participants, enabling them to be pushed through web-based logons, clicks, and so on. And this type of feature works well when demonstrating websites where users themselves can also participate. So you can have a certain amount of interactivity as part of a webinar. You can have meeting recording, and this is presentation activity is recorded on the client side or server for later viewing or for distribution. You can have a whiteboard with annotation, and this allows the presenter or attendees to highlight or mark items on the slide presentation or to simply make notes on a blank whiteboard. There's text chat. This can be for live question and answer sessions, and it's limited to the people who are connected with the meeting. You could also have text chat that could be public. It could be echoed to all participants, or it could be private between two participants. And you can have polls and surveys, and this allows the presenter to conduct questions with multiple choice answers directed to the audience. There can be screen sharing, and there can be desktop sharing or application sharing, and this is where participants can view anything the presenter currently has shown on their screen. And some screen sharing applications allow for remote desktop control, allowing participants to manipulate the presenter's screen, although this isn't widely used. And this is what a typical webinar screen will look like. You can see you've got a live picture of the person who's presenting the webinar. You've got things that are being shared on Twitter. You've got notes that are being made at the side there. You've also got live Q&A down there in the bottom right-hand corner where people are submitting questions that the presenter can answer in real time. So how do you get the word out about your webinar? Well, there are lots of different ways that you can do it, but three very, very good ways of getting the word out about your webinar are, first of all, solo ads. And solo ads are good because they're super, super targeted. What happens with a solo ad is that you will approach a mailing list owner in your niche, to send an ad to their list advertising your webinar. And what makes it so good is because only people who are interested in that niche, and sometimes even in that particular segment of the niche that your webinar is going to be about, are going to receive that ad. So they're going to be more engaged, they're going to be more interested in your webinar. Another way is to have an advertisement on a niche forum. You'll find that there are forum sites all over the internet on just about every subject possible. And you can, depending on the type of forum, you can either buy a paid ad, a banner ad, or something that they will show on the forum. Or if you're a participant in the forum, you could have an advertisement in your forum SIG that tells people about your webinar. And another good way, the third good way, is via Facebook ads. And again, like solo ads, Facebook ads are super targeted because you can drill down to a particular segment of the people on Facebook so that you know that only the people who are interested in your webinar are going to see the ad. Some people use a free webinar as a taster for a paid one. So you can cut down your presentation to maybe 1 or 2 points. And then you invite as many people as your software can handle to participate in the webinar. And then after you've done the free webinar, you can perhaps offer some sort of a discount or some sort of incentive for people who've seen your free webinar, like what they see, to sign up for a paid one, and that can be quite a highly paid one. When you're doing your webinar, first and foremost, you want to do your homework. You want to do your research to make sure that your information is accurate. And this is just as important for a free webinar as it is for a highly paid one. And you want to work from a script, an outline, or notes. Don't just wing it. You want to make sure that you can keep the flow of information going across in the right time, and that you don't overrun, or that your webinar isn't too short either. You don't want to have lots of waffle and things like that. And in order to get the delivery right, you want to rehearse. You want to practice your delivery. You want to make sure that everything flows properly. And you want to make sure that everything works and that you or your technicians know how to work it. Nothing can be more embarrassing than halfway through your webinar, you go to show a slide or a video or something and absolutely nothing happens. And it doesn't look very professional. So you want to make sure that you have a rehearsal and that you know that everything is going to work properly, or at least it should work properly. Now, if you're looking for some software platforms to run your webinar on, I've got a few for you here. Some are free and some are paid for. First, a couple of free ones. And the first one is Google Hangouts. And this is an offshoot of the Google Plus social media platform. And it lets you do things like have video conferences and voice over internet phone calls and send messages and that sort of thing. And if I scroll down here a bit, you can see it explains a bit about it on the site here. And it's all free, and you can find out more at hangouts.google.com. Then there's Skype, which you can find here at skype.com. And you can do things like video conferencing with up to 25 people. You can share documents. You can message people who are on Skype and that sort of thing. And it's a good platform that you can use for, say, a free webinar or something like that. If you're looking for a paid solution, then probably the most popular one is GoToWebinar, which you can find here at gotomeeting.com/webinar. And if I just click on the Features tab here, you can see it gives you a lot of information about what they actually do. I scroll down, you can see all the different things that they can do. There's a slideshow here that explains it, and you can custom brand it as well, which can be very useful if you're doing a webinar as part of a training company or that sort of thing. And then there's Webinars on Air, which is something that works in conjunction with Google Hangouts. And there's a video on the site here that explains it in more detail than I can. So there you go, how you can organize, market, and provide a webinar.